This is Naomi Ackerman, coming to you from the Advot offices in Los Angeles, California. Advot is a local nonprofit that uses theater to empower youth to find and use their voices. With Advot, I have spent over a decade working inside the walls of the Los Angeles Juvenile Lockup facilities, or Juvie as it's called in slang. When I started this work, I would drive every Thursday to teach the Ripple process. Today, Advot teaches over a dozen classes in multiple sites in LA County. I have had the privilege of meeting the most extraordinary youth inside the walls. Thursday in Juvie is where it started. I invite you to grab a cup of coffee or tea, take a little walk, and listen. Listen to the voices of these beautiful people. First, through a story I tell about my experiences teaching, followed by a remarkable interview with system-impacted individuals who have all changed their lives and are inspiring beyond measure. I'm so happy you chose to join us today to experience the power of love, forgiveness, redemption, and change. This is Thursdays in Juvie, and now, the show. In this episode of Thursdays in Juvie, I share about my first day with a new group of girls inside the juvenile lockup facility. This day, like many days, there was a lot going on. Being a mom to my daughters, being a mom to the girls I serve, and trying to be a mom to the graduates of the program. Change is a funny thing. It's hard and complicated and intertwined with many different layers. This show was the first story I shared publicly about my work. 200 stories later, I invite you to come inside the walls with me. New beginnings. Today was a day. My oldest daughter went to orientation at a new middle school. When we got there, she quickly made friends, turned and looked at me and whispered, "Ima," that's Hebrew for mom, "it's okay, leave." I walked away just only a little. She couldn't see me, but I watched her get whisked away with a flurry of 11-year-old girls giggling and laughing. I sighed a sigh of relief. I thought to myself, she's going to be fine. Today is Thursday. Thursday is the day I spend behind the walls in the LA County lockup facility with my other girls. I have a new group, and they are not easy. Lots of gang members, lots of attitude. The new group is always hard on my heart. In the end, I always fall in love, but it takes me time. I miss the last group. This group is cautiously testing me. These girls are so tough. There are days that I need to remind myself that change is going to happen. This program will change them. I've seen it. This is my 12th group in Juvie. Today was the day that change seemed almost impossible. Today was the day that a 14-year-old girl, not a lot older than my middle schooler, told me about her 30-year-old mom who's on the run because she has 2 strikes with the law, and the next one, they'll give her life. In the same breath, she told me that her mom is her partner in crime. Today, the same 14-year-old told me how everyone in her family is in the gang. I asked her, where will she go when she gets out of Juvie? She tells me to her great-great-grandmother, who, by the way, is not a lot older than me. Kicking it there is not so good, she explains to me. Last time, her great-great-grandma followed her to the store where she was caught for armed robbery. Good that she didn't come in, miss. Who the hell knows what could have happened? You know, my face was covered, but I felt she knew it was me. She stared right at me. I swear she knew it was me. So I hid my gun behind my back. Today, my answers, they just seemed silly. My prayers seemed very far. And change seemed almost impossible. Yes, the new group is always hard on my heart and on my soul. When I drove away, I could actually feel my soul hurting. From there, the lockup facility, I went to meet a girl who was in my last group. She's out. She's clean. She's back in high school. She will graduate in a few months and already is enrolled in a local college. I hired her to work for me. I swear to you, I could hear my heart sing. I'm so proud of you, I smiled at her. We were both quiet. I had to hold back my tears. I talked to her about her wages. I explained how it will work. She was so happy. It seemed to me that she wasn't really listening. I laugh and I tell her, pay attention. This is important. Never take less than minimum wage. And this is how we're going to pay you. She looked at me and said, I'm so happy to work with you. I've changed. I'm going to do good, miss. I know you are, I said. I know. Today was a day. My heart has no more room to feel. I come home and my child tells me about her new school. She's happy. I breathe. I've said it before and I remind myself again and again. Change is slow. Change is hard and it can be seriously, and I mean seriously, exhausting. You cannot push someone to change. You can only pull them. You can encourage them towards the change. And then, when you don't even notice, it happens. And it's there, right in front of you. It isn't huge. It actually isn't earth-shattering. It's simple, honest, fresh, calm, and beautiful. My goodness, change can be so incredibly beautiful. Stick around as I speak to one of my former students who has transformed themselves and their lives. I promise you, you will be inspired. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast to receive notifications about new shows. Join the Advot Ripple. Make a contribution today. I'm going to officially welcome Raychel Valdivia, who I have in my phone 50,000 phone numbers for, which I think at this given junction, I'm going to just sit down and erase them all. I now put the last one as Raychel 2024. So I think all the ones from 2019, 2018, 2017, I can erase. I'm so happy to have you. I'm so happy to talk to you. And I'm going to dive in. I'm going to share that you were the first person who I hired of someone who was a graduate of my program. And I don't know how that was for you, but for me, it was exhilarating and exciting. And I've always believed in you. And I'm really proud to see who you've become and who you have turned out to be. And I'm excited to see where that's going to go. I'm a businesswoman, Miss Raychel. So the first question is just that Thursdays in Juvie is about telling stories about amazing young women like you. And I know that you went in, you went out, and then you had a whole life that had nothing connected to that. But if there's two things that you would like to share with the world about your personal story, what would they be?
I would like to start off by saying that, sometimes we go through things and situations in our life that we have no control over, and I really just had to learn how to surrender. And being in the halls, being in camp, I had no choice but to surrender to my problems, but to let go and really just trust the process of it all and start to learn how to love myself. And through the program, Naomi, I really felt that I started to learn how to love myself and not just, when people say that, you take that vainly. And I really started to learn how to love myself. The little things, maybe I was creative and I didn't realize it. Maybe I knew how to communicate and I didn't know that. I didn't receive that kind of praise at home from my peers, etc. And through your program, I'm able to receive that. I do feel like my experience may be different from everybody else's, but that's the beautiful part about it, is that we all have different stories to tell.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing because not only have a different story to tell, every story is so different. You made a really big change in your life. I know you always talk about loving yourself, which I love that because it's important and you are absolutely worthy of love. What do you think had to happen in order for that change to happen in your life?
Again, kind of like how I mentioned surrendering. Mm-hmm. And I had to fall. I had to be at my lowest. I had to be at my most vulnerable. I think that's a huge piece right there. You have to be at your most vulnerable to actually feel, to actually let yourself feel and knock down those walls. And I had to learn how to accept my vulnerability and find beauty in that and find peace in that. Because still, but being vulnerable sucks sometimes, but it makes you totally so much. It makes you see so much within yourself that you're kind of suppressing. So that definitely I had to hit rock bottom to feel.
Well, maybe you have to hit. I hate to think that you have to hit rock bottom to be able to build yourself up again, but I hear it again and again that sometimes you have to go really down so that you can go up. It annoys me, but I think it's a little bit of a reality for a lot of people. So just, yeah.
I feel like everybody's experience is different. Again, like mine is different than everybody else's. Everybody's coping mechanisms, everybody's, the way that they learn is different. And for me, that's kind of what it was. And just really feeling that and really just being able to go through that, going through the loss of my dad when I was 15, going through a lot of abuse. I can't say that it was all fine and dandy for me. So I did experience rock bottom, and I had to experience that. And at least that's like where I come from, where I can say I had to hit that lowest point and really feel it to get back up.
I think it's really beautiful that you also acknowledge that, and you did have really horrible things happen to you and abuse. And what I love about your story is that from being angry, you just became productive, which I think is amazing because lots of people just continue to be angry. You know what I mean? Like, mm-hmm. I don't know if it was a conscious choice, but what I observed throughout many years is not only a surrender, but also just letting go of the anger. I haven't seen you in a while, so but you sound pretty unangry.
I hope so.
Yeah, no, I think it's amazing. I believe a lot. I believe a lot in community and the power of community. Who would you say were people around you that helped you with the change in your life? I think I remember you had an uncle who was very helpful. Like, what did you need? Because part of what I want for people who are listening to this to be less judgmental and more giving and helpful. And a lot of people say, oh, well, that kid messed up, too bad. And I know from success stories, and to me, you're a huge success story, that you need support from people around you. So I'm curious what, in your eyes, support looks like.
Support really is just looking at a situation, looking at a person in their shoes, maybe in a different perspective. Yes, people make mistakes, and honestly, you may not know if those people feel shame for it or not, but shame is something that's so deeply rooted in us that will get in the way of so many things. And when you seek for help, you feel a little bit ashamed of yourself. You feel a little bit, again, you feel vulnerable. You feel scared. You feel like, oh my God, what am I doing? And it really definitely helps when you have a group of people around you that won't judge you, that won't, look down upon you, or maybe, that feeling of really having somebody that you can trust, that you can talk to, goes a long way, because you don't know what people are going through and what may come out of from them just opening up. It really definitely helps when you have people around you that don't make you feel ashamed about your situation.
I love that. I remember, and I talk about this a lot when I meet younger women who are pregnant. You rocked, like you impressed me so much. Like you were pregnant, you used and found every service possible. I give you as an example. I remember you had like 2 years worth of diapers. You went to painting classes. You got clothes. You are such an example. And I give that as an example. I talk about you. We're like 6 years later. I talk about you a lot. No, because you are such a good example. And this is always that there are resources. I mean, there's no resources and there's resources. Like what you're saying about just people not being judgmental, listening, assisting without saying, having, not understand, assisting without judging because you haven't walked in your shoes. But what I remember about you, and again, I talk about it with younger women who get pregnant, you were so proactive in finding resources in a city where it's not easy to find that. Like there's no one hub, like here's all the places you can get this, here's all the places. Right. You went out and I remember you sat in my office, you found the places, you went, and like that is amazing. The intelligence to go and find the places. And I mean, I remember in your house, the whole closet had diapers. It was just brilliant. And I really hope that people listening to this know that there are places to get help. And I love that you talked about shame, and there's nothing shameful about it. And use the resources, go to the places, get the stuff, ask people, because if you don't ask, you're not going to get it. I mean, I don't know how you had the intuition to do that. I don't know where you thought about that, but that was so impressive.
I remember having a conversation with my mom, and I told my mom, like, I feel so ashamed. I'm pregnant. I'm going to be taking the bus. I don't have a car. I don't know where to go. I'm going to be so embarrassed getting on the bus and pregnant. Like that's so, it's going to make me feel so low. And I feel so ashamed. And I remember my mom telling me, no, feel ashamed when you turn around and you have nothing for your daughter. Feel ashamed when you look back and you say, oh my God, I could have done something and I haven't done anything. Then people can go ahead and talk about you. Then people can say, oh my God, she didn't do anything for her daughter. But if you're on the bus and you're carrying diapers and you're doing X, Y, and Z for yours, nobody can judge you. Nobody has the right to judge you. You do not need to feel ashamed of providing and looking and seeking to find better. Feel ashamed when you've given up.
That's amazing. I mean, I use you as the example, I swear to God, as like, you are to me the quintessential mother queen. Like I just, no, and I say that, no, what you did, you were pregnant, you didn't have a car. And you didn't let shame debilitate you. And you went and you used the resources. And I am telling you, 6 years later, I tell people, like, use the resources, and maybe it'll be a second that you walk in and you feel crappy about it, but the resources are there. And what I know to be true, most of the people, and I'm curious how you feel about this, most of the people who provide those services, they're very genuine. Those people are not judgmental. Like we want to serve, and we want to be able to help people out. And, and so many people are afraid, ashamed, feel uncomfortable. And I don't know how to change that equation, but I love what your mom said. I'm going to steal that also.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's so true. And I did feel ashamed. I cried about it. And I feel like so scared to just go down the street to get some essentials, water and stuff. And I had to get out of it because I said, you know what? She's so right. If anybody turns around and laughs at me or my situation, or even so much criticizes me, even the tiniest little bit, they really can't. They really can't, because as long as I have things for my daughter, and as long as I am taking care of business and really looking and wanting to do better, it's kind of like when people first start hitting the gym, right? They're like, oh my gosh, people are going to be looking at me. Oh my gosh, I don't feel good. I'm overweight. All these people over here are in shape. But when you go to the gym, nobody's laughing at you because everybody's working towards the same goal. Nobody's judging you. Nobody's looking at you wrong. People, if anything, are trying to help you. They want to help you get the right formation and doing the lunges the right way, doing the workout the right way. When you walk into the gym, you feel that shame for a second, and then it's gone because you look around yourself. You look around and you see yourself surrounded by people working towards a goal. And there's people there that, personal trainers, people there that have resources, right? There's yoga class, there's these classes. Nobody's going to shame you for wanting to do better for yourself.
I think also I want to say that what I also really appreciated is that you were not, and this is why I think you're now, I know that you're a super successful business person. You also did not, it wasn't just about stuff. You went to classes, you check up, like it was a wide range. And I really hope for everybody, not just people who've been in our program or who come to the Advot project, but that you wanted more for yourself. You wanted to learn. You wanted to read the books. You wanted to go to parenting classes. You didn't feel like your situation had to limit you, and maybe you had shame. But what I hope that people will be inspired not to limit themselves because of mistakes they made. And I hope that people who meet people who have made mistakes don't limit their possibility because they're judging. Like it's kind of an equation. And I loved that it was a very broad, and you've always been like that. Even when you were looking for a job, you wanted to go to the army, like you were looking for a broader picture. And I think that's super important.
Yeah. Yeah. I know it is important. It's important to take, advantage of the resources that you have. We're lucky to be able to be surrounded by people that are actually good people. There is good people out here. There are people that want to help out, and, you just have to trust that these people really will be there for you. I think that's another thing that kind of holds people back, is that they don't trust these people. They don't trust anybody really because their trust has been so broken. But if you just let yourself just for a second and you just try it, it won't hurt to try.
That's true. So if there was something that you could say to your younger self who was locked up in Camp Scudder, what's something that you would say to them?
Shoot for the stars. Shoot for the stars, because seriously, you don't know how far you can go. And just keep going. Just keep going, because time doesn't stop for anybody. Time keeps going. Time doesn't promise you anything. The only thing that it's going to do is keep on going. So today you might be 16 in Camp Scudder, and tomorrow you might be 22 in college. You might be 22 in a job, but time stops for nobody. Just yesterday, you can recall when you were 5 years old. You can recall memories, and really just keep going. Keep working towards your goals, and don't stop for anybody. Things come and go, people come and go, jobs, situations. But as long as you keep pushing through, you'll see results.
I love that. What would be something you would say, like what would be your advice to people listening to this podcast that are, like, how would you tell them to support formerly incarcerated youth? What would be your advice to someone who wants to support someone who'd been incarcerated, someone who's made some bad choices? When you talked about not judging, what else would you?
We have to think about the youth, right? And where they stand in society. The youth is our future. And the youth, they get smarter than us. As the years go by, my daughter knows how to do all these little FaceTime tricks and screen sharing, and I'm just lost. That's these little things. No, seriously, I get lost. I'm like, how do you know this? I feel like I'm in the dinosaur area, and she knows everything. Our youth is our future. We have to invest in our youth in order to succeed. And especially in our country, especially, we have to really educate our youth and hold them up to a standard and not give up on them. Because if we do, we'll look around and we'll see so many other countries advance. And we might look at ourselves still behind on a lot of things like education, resources, development. And it's because we didn't invest in our youth.
Yeah, no.
And that's such a tough thing to do.
No, I totally agree. And I hate that the system here is so punitive and not more rehabilitative. I mean, what are there things that you would say? What would you say? Is there anything? I don't even want to say this sentence. Not good, but were there any? What from the experience that you had at Camp Scudder? Were there positive things that you took out of it? I mean, I would say that all of it is negative, but are there things that you could look at and look back at that gave you something, that built you up? That not that we think anything about incarcerating a young adult is good, but anything from that experience that you think can helped you when you got out?
Yeah, I mean, definitely being part of your program did help me a lot. I was able to maintain myself busy and out of trouble because I had something to do and I had somebody who actually cared about me. So why would I spend my time hanging out with people who don't care about what I do or my future when I can actually go, into your program, and I would take the bus out there. It would be like a 2-hour ride.
Yeah.
But I knew it was worth it. I knew that I was going somewhere.
That's already when you were working. That was when you were working for us. That was wild.
Yeah.
That was so exhilarating. The story that I tell before we put this interview is that day. And I can tell you Zohar, my oldest daughter, had just started middle school. I had just started a new group at Scudder. And that day we hired you to come work with us. And I cried the whole way home. I was so excited that you were going to start working for us. It was really exciting because I always knew that you had so much potential and that the episode in Scudder was just like a stupid hiccup. Like shit happens,
yeah.
Right? And you were going to move on. And I'm insanely proud of where you are right now because I just think it's beautiful. I mean, it's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's I never thought that I would. I don't know. I just never gave up on myself. That's something that I always told myself is I'm not going to give up until, I'm dead. I have no excuse. I have 2 working legs, 2 working arms. I have a great heartbeat, and if I didn't have that stuff, I still have the will to keep going on. So, I mean, you stop living when you decide you stop living. And I wasn't done living yet.
Okay, so number one, I think that's just like good advice to anybody. I think I'm going to take that advice for myself. Like, never give up on yourself. No matter how old you are, no matter how young you are, no matter if you're locked up, if you're not locked up, you got 2 legs, you got 2 arms, do the work. Like, just, and, I think also the payoff isn't always immediately. I mean, you've taken some time to build yourself and it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing, So,
yeah, no, definitely. I just need time to build myself because, and especially after the pandemic set us up, and set us back in time.
Beautiful. And it's so great to reconnect with you. If there's one thing one message you want to end with that you'd like people to take away from this conversation. I mean, there's like 20,000 different things that they can take away, but if there's one thing that you want people to hear and take away from your story, what would that be?
Don't let pain don't let it make you bitter. Don't let it break you. Let it make you become a better person.
I'm going to cry.
And
Amazing.
I mean,
I got to remember that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Raychel, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you. And I'm going to definitely have you back on because you have so many pearls of wisdom. Thank you for choosing Thursdays in Juvie with Naomi Ackerman in partnership with Advot. I know you have many choices to listen to, and I appreciate you giving us your time today. Time is precious, which is exactly why we must pay attention to individuals, particularly youth, who are serving time. I hope hearing these stories will help you see the youth Advot works with as the amazing humans they are, and not just judge them as random case numbers. Did you enjoy this podcast? If so, please share the podcast from our website, www.advot.org, with your friends, family, and colleagues. We hope you'll join us again, because the more we listen, the better we understand. The better we understand, the more compassion we have. Compassion changes the world. Listening is the first step. In gratitude.